The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of the station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Hello, welcome to the Becky and Boca Show. My guest tonight is Brian Pearson. He's with American Incentive Advisors. And Brian, I was reading a little bit about what you do and your company. So can you just kind of briefly explain it?
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here. American Incentive Advisors primarily is a tax consulting firm where our team of advisors cover most all 50 states and primarily work with business owners in assisting them in terms of helping them claim the research and development tax credits that many of the businesses in the United States are entitled to.
But they don't know it, right?
They absolutely don't know it. In fact, according to Congress, the IRS, CPA Advisor, Forbes, Bloomberg, lots of resources out there currently say that 95% of businesses in the United States that actually qualify for research and development tax credits, they actually never even apply. And the number one reason they don't apply is they, along with even their CPAs, self-censor. Meaning they look at themselves, they look at their business and they say, well, we don't put on a weight uniform or outfit and go in a clean room and do research all day, so we probably don't qualify. We're not currently manufacturing parts of some kind, so we probably don't qualify. We haven't invented anything recently. We don't own any patents on products or processes, so we probably don't qualify. In fact, even things that are even maybe a little more simpler, like we don't have enough revenue, so we probably don't qualify. We don't have enough employees, so we probably don't qualify. And as Senator Chuck Grassley from Iowa says, nothing could be further from the truth. So Congress passed these laws, if I may just say, Congress passed these laws to incentivize businesses to hire new employees, to buy new equipment, to open up additional locations, and just to drive the American economy, but yet, again, 95% of businesses aren't taking advantage of the 12.
Are they grants or are they loans or what is the incentives? What are the incentives?
They're research and development tax credits, and a credit is simply a dollar for dollar reimbursement back to the business owner. So when a business owner actually qualifies and applies for and claims their tax credits, generally speaking, that means they will receive a refund check from either the Treasury Department and or the state taxing authority, if the state has state income tax. So they'll receive actual checks from, let's say, the IRS as a reimbursement. So it's real cash money they can put their hands on and then put it right back into their business wherever they deem necessary.
Okay, let me ask you this. What is your role in this? I would come to you and hire you to find me these incentives?
Absolutely. And, it's worth mentioning that we are not approaching any business owner to become their CPA. There's just a ton of wonderful CPA accounting professionals and firms out there that do an incredible job, day in and day out for their customers. But their focus is primarily helping their clients get their taxes filed on time, getting the W-2s out the door, getting the 1099s, getting the franchise tax returns, personal returns, corporate returns, extensions, getting all those things done and filed on time so as to keep their clients away from having to pay, additional penalties and interest and what have you. So our focus is never, ever, ever to dislodge the relationship that the business owner has with their existing CPA. And in no way, shape, or form do we ever want to imply that their CPA is not doing a good job. But the fact of the matter is, Becky, the tax code is over 5.5 million words. Okay, it changes dramatically every year. And then to complicate things even further, it's not even black and white. So we specialize in this part of the tax code. With now what's going on in the world, the research and development tax credits can be a great way for a business owner to kind of bridge, what's going on right now and help their business.
So give me some examples of businesses that would be ideal to take advantage of this.
Well, just off the top of my head, and we have thousands of clients around the country, as I mentioned, in all 50 states, and we're very heavy in the medical field, for example. Okay. So if you are a physician, a dentist, an orthodontist, let's say you're a plastic surgeon, there in Florida, or you're a oral surgeon or an orthopedic surgeon, there's actually a lot of research and development that goes on in the medical field. Now, it could be a physician. It also could be, a medical device medical equipment provider that's also engaging in a lot of R&D. So just the medical field in general. Obviously, construction at every level, whether it be a construction company, the engineers behind it, architects behind it, and then a lot of the subcontractors that also participate in construction projects that make those projects come to fruition. So whether it be heating and air conditioning companies, whether it be electrical contractors, plumbing companies, those are great candidates as well. But it could be property development. It could be the hospitality industry, software companies. If you're in radio, social media, advertising, there really is no limit anymore as to who can qualify.
Is there a limit or an example of about how much a business could expect to get?
Well, we help businesses, Becky, that receive sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and even multi-millions of dollars back. So obviously, typically anyway, the larger the company, the larger the revenue, the more profitable they are, the more employees they have, the more taxes that they're paying, the refunds, the credits can get into the multi-millions of dollars. So a dentist, an ophthalmologist, an orthopedic surgeon.
Dentists, for example, can't see patients right now.
Right, absolutely.
The business to a screeching halt.
So that's the bad news. The bad news is they can't see patients right now, and most surgical centers, hospitals are no longer allowed to do surgical procedures unless they're emergency in nature. And but the good news is it's giving the physicians an opportunity to actually slow down, to meet with tax professionals and understand the process and actually take advantage of it and get things, in the pipeline to the state and to the IRS.
To look into something like this.
Well, absolutely. And so to answer your question, an average dentist may see a refund or recovery, as we call it, somewhere in the ballpark of $150,000. You may have a orthopedic surgeon that sees a refund of $200,000 to $300,000, and we're allowed to go back. The IRS allows us, they call them open tax records or open tax seasons, so we can actually go back 3 years at the federal level and 4 years at the state level. So to go back 3 years and claim research and development tax credits, a lot of times those numbers can be pretty large because we're accumulating 3 to 4 years worth of past records.
That is impressive. Okay, so if I had a business and I wanted to get in touch with you, walk me through the steps. What does this entail on my part?
Well, that's a great question, Becky. And a lot of times business owners at first blush, they're thinking, well, this is great. This sounds wonderful, but this is going to be very time consuming. Mm-hmm. And for the amount of time that myself and my staff have to put into this, it may be a net, win-win loss.
There are going to be all these hoops I have to jump through, all this terrain I have to navigate. I feel like it might not be an easy thing, but are you going to tell me different?
I am going to tell you different because, quite frankly, we have a wonderful team of advisors that are around the country that actually will meet with the business owner, conduct an interview, fill out an application. And again, our brokers are doing, the majority of that. So it's when I say 10, 15, 30 minutes or so of the business owner, their leadership team, key executives, what have you, that's all. Because after we've done the interview, we've gleaned a lot of information about the business, what they're doing, what kind of things that are taking place that are proprietary in nature, the things going on in that business that kind of make them different from their competition, examples of research and development activities and behaviors taking place. Our advisors can build a file. They build a case, and then those files, Becky, go to our CPA team, and then along with the business owner simply securely providing our CPA term with copies of their tax records. So it's the application process, and then either the business owner or their CPA securely sending us 3 years worth of tax records. We're able to then go through forensically through all of the tax records, look for the R&D, and then within 24 to 48 hours, we provide that business owner with an estimate of what their recovery will look like.
R&D. So what are you looking for? Let's take a dentist, for example.
Sure. Well, dentists, I kind of laugh every time we talk about dentists because if you've been to the dentist anytime recently, it's amazing, the amount of technology that they have. In fact, it's like, sooner sit down in the chair, they've got photos of your teeth, up there on the big screen TV. They've already booked your next.
Right. Okay, so all that is considered research and development?
Absolutely. They've already, made your next appointment. They've got fantastic software. What's different too, Becky, is a lot of the dentists now have labs inside the dental practice. So you remember back, not so long ago, in terms of having, crowns and bridges and implants and things like that, they took the molds, sent that to the lab, a week later, 2 weeks later, what have you, came back. And now it's just done right there practically on the spot.
So they would have all these research and development applications that they might not even realize would work with the incentive program.
That's absolutely true. What the IRS looks at a lot of times, and one of the key questions that we ask, and that is for every business owner, whether it be, a construction company that builds and designs homes, or whether it be the dentist that we're talking about, and that is, does every customer, or in this case, patient that comes in, is it just an off-the-shelf solution? Is it a one-size-fits-all type of, plan or solution for that customer? Or is there actual, design, research, planning, thought? Is there uncertainty, with the outcome? Is there just kind of what's going on there that is different? And of course, a dentist or an orthopedic surgeon, for example, you can truly say that every customer or every patient in that case that walks in the door is different and unique. So every situation is unique in itself and requires a different and separate plan of care.
You were talking about contractors and developers. There are a lot of them here in South Florida. How do they qualify for R&D?
Well, again, nothing ever goes according to plan, even with a great set of plans. And so a lot of construction companies obviously have experts such as architects and engineers that are doing a lot of the work, especially pre-project. But there are always changes that have to occur. There are elements of surprise that happen. You're working in various cities with different permitting processes, different ordinances. You're working with different types of materials. There are sometimes safety issues. There are always financial risks, whether it be underbidding a job, whether it be actual weather delays. There's always some kind of element of financial risk that most any business owner takes on. And but the fact of the matter is, every construction project is different. It's not one size fits all, just a simple off-the-shelf solution. It's custom in nature in almost every way. And there's a lot of research and development that's going on there. That's not to say that 100% of everything they do qualifies for research and development. It might only be 10%, but 10%. And us being able to go back 3 years and claim that 10% again can be sometimes hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars.
Wow, why doesn't anybody know about this, Brian?
Well, you know what? In defense of the CPAs out there, you really can't know everything about everything. And I give this example, Becky, all the time. If I was sitting in jail right now, and this is probably a bad example, but nonetheless, I'm sitting in jail on potential murder charges. I'm probably not going to call a divorce attorney for help. I'm
Right.
going to call a specific attorney. And it's just like if I were to go to the doctor and I go to my primary care physician and I let them know my knee's bothering me. Well, they can examine it. They can do an x-ray, but it would be very typical, Becky, and almost expected for them to say, you know what, Brian, let me write you a referral and send you to a specialist. And so again, with the size of the tax code, it's ever changing and so on and so on and so on. You have to specialize in something, and this is a part of the code that we do specialize in. And quite frankly, there are other areas aside from research and development that we help business owners with. We find that many do not take advantage of cost segregation. We find that many do not take advantage of the 179D or 45L, which are energy efficiency tax credits. So, for example, a lot of business owners, if they have built a new building, if they've done a major remodel, if they've leased a space and then built it out for their business, they can qualify for cost segregation, accelerate the depreciation of those business assets, and save thousands and thousands of dollars.
You would look at all aspects of a business that came to you to see where you could find these credits?
We do. The research and development, quite frankly, is kind of what I call the low-hanging fruit because so many businesses qualify for it. And
so it's not just research and development. There are other.
But there are other, credits out there that, again, not faulting the CPAs at all. It's just the fact that the law's ever changing. There's new credits that become available all the time. And most CPAs were not hired to sit down with their client and offer up 50 different tax strategies to help them mitigate their tax liability.
How quickly? What's the turnaround on that?
Well, so that's a really bad question considering today where we're at with the coronavirus and all. But no, seriously, if you go to the IRS website, they will tell you about 16 weeks to receive everything, to review it, to process it, and issue those refund checks. Every now and then, our clients are very fortunate to where they may actually receive their refunds in 3 or 4 weeks. Also, the time of the year has a lot to do with that. A lot of times, the fourth quarter, when the IRS isn't as busy, those refund checks come a lot quicker.
Can this be done at any time, or does it have to be done at tax time?
All year round. All year round. Okay. So we've got basically 3 years from the date they filed their returns 3 years ago. So again, if you filed your 2016 returns on March 1st of 2017, well, if you move the clock 3 years forward, March 1st of 17 to March 1st of 2020, they've lost out on it.
Oh,
a lot of businesses do file extensions and wait till the last minute and get those returns filed on October 15th. But so if they did file an extension in 2016, we actually have all the way until October 15th of this year to go back and grab 16, so they can take advantage of it.
Okay. Now, Brian, how do you get paid?
So, great question. We are not nonprofit. And so we get paid based on a contingency fee. We receive 1/3 of whatever we're able to recover for our clients.
Okay.
So, we're motivated to do a great job for our customers around the country. And at the same time, Becky, I'll share with you that, quite frankly, we do a really good job vetting out those clients, making sure that, they meet the IRS
for worth your time and theirs, right?
Well, that we're absolutely worth their time and ours. And about 1 of every 2 customers that we interact with and go through the process, when it comes time to provide an estimate, they don't qualify.
Are they still billed if you find out they're not going to receive any?
Absolutely not. So you'll find that we are not asking.
There's no risk if a company wants to check with you to see if they're entitled to anything.
There's not. And so we could go through the entire process and let the customer know that, hey, you qualify for between $250,000 and $260,000. And if for some reason they say, well, thank you very much, that's great to know, I'm not interested in pursuing this, it costs them absolutely nothing.
Okay.
They decide that, yes, they want to claim their credits and receive every dime that's owed to them, then they give us the green light to do the tax work. And then once we've done all the tax work, Becky, and we're ready for signature and send off to the IRS, they pay 1/2 of the fee at that time. And then they don't pay the other half of the fee until they've received their checks from the Treasury Department and the state.
Yeah. They're always paid, or are there times when you would think they're entitled to something and they don't get it?
Right. Well, I'll tell you, 99+% of the time when we have done the tax work, we actually know to the dollar what they're going to receive. In addition to that, Becky, they receive interest on top of the money that they receive that is not included in our fee. And then our fee is also a business expense. So they need to remember that our fee is a business expense. And a lot of times they receive thousands of dollars in interest from the IRS or the state, that 100% of that goes right into their pocket. But to answer your question as well, if for some reason a client were not to get back what we've invoiced them for. Obviously, we would refund them anything that they're owed. And usually, as I said, 99+% of the time, that doesn't happen. The only time we find a situation where things get sideways is when the client maybe didn't tell us something. For example, they gave us a 2017 original tax return, but come to find out in 2018, their CPA went back and amended the 2017, and we did not get a copy of the amended. We worked off of a copy of the original. Also, there's instances where, and we do ask, do you owe any back taxes? And sometimes our customers might say, no, I don't, only to find out that that's not necessarily the case.
Okay.
The good news is if they qualify for tax credits, those tax credits can automatically be applied towards that back tax debt.
Okay, I see. Well, this is very interesting. I did not know any of this before talking to you, and I'm sure most people don't. So I don't see why people wouldn't contact you and just find out if they have any money coming.
Well, you've got nothing to lose because, as we said, it costs you absolutely nothing to go through the simple process and find out.
Okay, give me a quick synopsis again, just to make it concise. This is for all businesses across the board, large or small. They do not have to show a profit, or is that?
They don't necessarily have to show a profit. Ideally, they are. More importantly, they're paying taxes. It helps if they have employees. The more employees, typically, the better. But, we work with sole proprietors. We may have an engineer or a architect, for example, that's maybe a sole proprietor, or we do work with small businesses. You take a dental office, a small dental office, or optometrist, there might only be 2 or 3 employees there. The other day we did worked with a company that paints water towers. So they have a very unique process on how they safely paint these water towers. But then also what's interesting is they own a patent on a paint product that goes on the inside of the water towers to protect from rust and corrosion. And, it's one of those things like, well, who would have thought? And but there's a lot of research and development actually going on there. And they're a very successful business. And we were able to get them a substantial refund.
Hey, South Florida is a lot of service industries, restaurants and hotels. Are there areas there that you could work with?
There are. There absolutely are. We do work with a lot of businesses in what I would call the hospitality industry. There's more than likely something there. They may have a proprietary hiring process. They may have some form of proprietary software that they use to run the hotel or run the convention center or restaurant or what have you. There may be very high level and proprietary training programs. Again, that's our job to kind of dig and ask the right questions and find out. But it may, again, be 10%. It may be 50%, but most definitely those in the hospitality industry, there's usually something there.
So no risk in contacting you and finding out.
Absolutely not.
Okay, well, this has been a very interesting interview. Thank you very much, Brian Pearson, American Incentive Advisors. Thank you for joining me on the Becky and Boca Show. I'm thinking of all these people I know that might be able to reach out to you. And there's no risk. I don't see why they wouldn't. Thank you very much for joining me on the Becky and Boca Show. I learned a lot from you. This is a fantastic opportunity for a lot of people. And I wish you a lot of luck, and I'm going to get your message out there.
Thank you, Becky. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.